पूरा देश जानता है कि हमारा स्टेट एक मिनरल रिच स्टेट है, तो हमें बहुत एक बैलेंस और पूरे इकोसिस्टम को ध्यान में रखकर चीज़ों को एक सस्टेनेबल ग्रोथ की ओर हम ले जा सके। अब हमारी नई जनरेशन है, उनको हम इतनी सोचने की ताकत देना चाहते हैं कि खुद वो अपने पैरों पर खड़ा हो, नॉट ओनली कि वो सरकारी नौकरियों के आसार पर रहे।
तो झारखंड के लिए सर, अगर हम कहें विकास की दृष्टि से, अगले 25 साल हो गए, अगले 10 साल 15 साल झारखंड के लिए आपका क्या विजन है?
देखिए, हमारे स्टेट ने बहुत अप एंड डाउन सिचुएशंस देखे हैं। 7-8 सालों से मैं स्टेट को हेड कर रहा हूँ और इस दौरान भी काफ़ी टर्बुलेंस रहा स्टेट में। और चूँकि पूरा देश जानता है कि हमारा स्टेट एक मिनरल रिच स्टेट है, मोरलेस जो भी डिस्कवरी हुई उधर, जो भी स्ट्रेटजी एंड प्लान सारे बने हैं, वो माइंस मिनरल्स के सराउंडिंग ही एक्टिविटीज़ रहा। अब नई जनरेशन आ गई है, उनके डिमांड्स डिफरेंट हैं, एंड माइंस मिनरल्स का जो एक्टिविटीज़ था वो समहाउ एक लंबे पीरियड तक होता रहा और चल ही रहा है इवन अभी भी। हम लोगों ने इसी बीच इस बात को सोचा कि थोड़ा हम माइंस मिनरल्स से हट के कुछ और भी इनोवेटिव साइड पे हम जाएं।
तो यहाँ निवेशकों से आपकी क्या बातचीत हो रही है? झारखंड जो है, विदेशी निवेशक जो हैं वो अक्सर उनको चाहिए होता है ईज़ ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस, स्टेबिलिटी पॉलिसी में। तो यहाँ पर आपका निवेशकों को आपने क्या संदेश दिया है और उनका क्या रिस्पांस रहा है?
देखिए, हमारा जो झारखंड स्टेट है वो एक्चुअली थ्रू आउट वो देता ही रहा है, अलग अलग कंसेप्ट में, चाहे वो रेवेन्यू साइड पे कहें, चाहे इंडस्ट्री सपोर्ट बेस्ड गुड्स हों, वो सारी चीज़ें। और जो फॉरेन इन्वेस्टमेंट है और विद इन द कंट्री जो इन्वेस्टर्स हैं, अभी तक तो विद इन द कंट्री ही हम लोग का मूवमेंट था, अब थोड़ा बाहर आए हैं
जी। और
सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने भी फॉरेस्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट को लेकर नए रूल्स, नए नीतियां बनाई हैं। अब उसके रिस्पेक्ट में कल फॉरेन इन्वेस्टमेंट का क्या स्वरूप होगा वो तो हम बाद में तय करेंगे। बट जो एक डिस्कशन है, जो एक कहा जाए कि लोगों से जो बात करने के बाद पता चल रहा है कि यार दे आर वेरी मच इंटरेस्टेड इन झारखंड, अलग अलग माध्यमों से, कोई किसी और के साथ, कोई किसी और के साथ। और स्टेट के अंदर जो इन्वेस्टर्स हैं वो तो फ्रीली हैं ही हमारे साथ, और अभी बड़े पैमाने में वैसे भी एक्टिविटीज़ हमारे वहाँ जो माइंस मिनरल्स है उसके इर्द गिर्द चल ही रहा है। बियॉन्ड उसके अलावा हम कुछ प्लान कर रहे हैं।
जी, तो आप क्या ये नई कुछ नीतियाँ ला रहे हैं, क्या प्लान कर रहे हैं? झारखंड के पास क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स के भी रिसोर्सेज हैं जो अभी तक एक्सप्लोर नहीं हुआ है, उसके लिए क्या कर रहे हैं?
अभी
यूरेनियम का भी कुछ डिपॉजिट है, उसके लिए कुछ कर रहे हैं?
यूरेनियम ऑलरेडी उसकी माइनिंग सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट करती है, वो चूँकि सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ऑपरेटेड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, PSUs के थ्रू ही ये होता है। बट अभी जैसे इन लोगों ने नई नीतियाँ बनाई है,
जी, शांति बिल आ गया है, हाँ।
तो हो सकता है कि वो विंडो हमारे लिए भी खुले। तो हमें बहुत एक बैलेंस और पूरे इकोसिस्टम को ध्यान में रखकर चीज़ों को एक सस्टेनेबल ग्रोथ की ओर हम ले जा सके, क्योंकि हमारी जो नेक्स्ट जनरेशन है उसकी डिमांड को हमें देखना बहुत ज़रूरी है। उसके लिए हमें उसके तरीके से चीज़ों को फ्रेमवर्क करना है। इस वजह से जो भी हमारा अब आइडिया हम एक्सप्लोर करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, तो हम अपने नए जनरेशन को अपने माइंड में रख के ज़रूर सोचते हैं कि हम उनके लिए क्या करें।
ऐसे कौन से क्षेत्र हैं जहाँ पर आपको लगता है कि झारखंड जो है उसमें नीतियाँ बना के लाएगा, ताकि नई जनरेशन जो है उनके लिए जॉब्स रहें, एम्प्लॉयमेंट अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ रहें?
कहा जाए कि किसी भी चीज़ों को इस्टेब्लिश करने के लिए जो एक बेसिक रिक्वायरमेंट था, वो सब कभी थोड़ा सा वीक रहा है। से इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की बात हो, पावर की बात हो, कनेक्टिविटी की बात हो, रोड की बात हो, वो सब थोड़ा सा एक समय वीक था। बट हम लोग उन सब चीज़ों पर लगभग एक लेवल में हम लोग अच्छे पोजीशन पे आ गए हैं। सो इसके अलावा भी हमारे कई और चीज़ें जो जो प्लान में है हमारे, कि हम आईटी सेक्टर की ओर जाएं, और जो एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेट करने का अभी कई सारे हमारे और भी, जैसे टूरिज़्म सेक्टर की बात हो, वो भी एक हमारा बहुत पावरफुल ये है। स्पोर्ट्स सेक्टर हमारा बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग साइट है। अभी आपको पता है कि वुमेन हॉकी टीम में लगभग 4 से 5 गर्ल्स हमारे ही स्टेट से आती
जी।
हैं। स्पोर्ट्स में तो खैर बहुत वास्ट और बहुत बड़ा दायरा हम लोग के यहाँ है। वो भी हमारा एक साइट है कि हम उसको भी एक्सप्लोर करें। टूरिज़्म में भी हम बहुत, इनफैक्ट एक अनमैच्ड साइट पर हैं। उसको थोड़ा सा हमें फिर से, अब जैसे हम जहाँ आज घूम रहे हैं, तो ये एक बहुत ही अच्छे तरीके से एक प्लान इकोसिस्टम इन लोगों ने अपना डेवलप किया है। तो हम भी उस और जा सकते हैं। तो चीज़ें आ रही हैं। अब बहुत जल्द आपको वो एक शेप अप में दिखेगा कि अलग अलग माइंस मिनरल्स के अलावा हम डिफरेंट सेक्टर में भी, हम एक एजुकेशन में हम एक अच्छे ये में जा रहे हैं।
जी।
और हेल्थ सेक्टर भी हम लोगों के लिए एक चैलेंजिंग, लगभग बहुत ज़्यादा था इवन, आज उसमें बड़ी तेज़ी से हम लोगों ने उसको रिकवर किया है।
जी।
मोरलेस एक जो 25 इयर्स में चीज़ें जो इधर उधर बिखरी हुई थी, उनको मैं एक सिस्टमेटिक वे में अपने अपने तरीके से उसको एक डायरेक्शन देने का एक हम लोगों ने प्रोग्राम शुरू किया हुआ है। लेटर भी थोड़ा, ये बात सही है कि समय लगता है, लेकिन अब थोड़ा फास्ट खुद भी रहना होगा।
जी। छोटे और मझोले उद्योग जो हैं उनके लिए राज्य कुछ कर रहा है? कैसे उनको बढ़ावा दिया जा सकता है? क्योंकि वो बहुत बड़े एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन के लिए ज़रूरी होता है ये क्षेत्र। तो उसके लिए, उनके लिए कोई आप फ्रेमवर्क बना रहे हैं, कोई नीति ला रहे हैं?
देखिए, हमारे यहाँ छोटे मझोले इंडस्ट्री की प्रेजेंसी वैसे काफ़ी अच्छा है। कुछ नीतियाँ हम बनाते हैं, कुछ नीतियाँ भारत सरकार भी बनाती है।
जी।
और हमें और कंफर्टेबिलिटी होती है जब स्मॉल मीडियम जो इंडस्ट्रीज़ हैं वो स्टेट के अंदर काम करे। और क्योंकि वो जितना स्पीडली काम करते हैं कि आपको पता भी नहीं चलेगा कि इंडस्ट्री लग भी गया, ऑपरेशनल भी हो गया, एम्प्लॉयमेंट भी जनरेट हो गया। ये बहुत फास्ट होता है। और बड़े प्लेयर के साथ अगर आप काम करते हैं तो उसमें बहुत कुछ इश्यूज भी खड़े होते हैं, बहुत सारे प्रॉब्लम, बहुत सारी चीज़ों को फेस भी करना पड़ता है। तो उन सब में थोड़ा टाइम लगता है। तो अभी हम लोग इस बार हम लोगों ने अभी इन्हीं दौरान, अभी इधर जो हम लोग घूम रहे हैं, तो इसी बीच हम लोगों ने अपने, क्योंकि हमारे अफसर भी साथ में हैं, तो हमने कहा है कि स्मॉल एंड मीडियम इंडस्ट्रीज़ के लिए एक हम लोग बेस्ट क्या हम लोग प्रैक्टिसेस बना सकते हैं, लोगों को इनवाइट कर सकते हैं। इनफैक्ट हम लोग अपने स्टेट में वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट के लिए वुमेन एंटरप्रेन्योर्स का भी एक प्रोग्राम हम लोग स्टडी कर रहे हैं कि कैसे हम वहाँ पर महिलाओं को आगे बढ़ाएं, क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ महिलाएं बहुत स्ट्रांगली काम करती हैं। तो अभी हम लोगों ने एक मैया सम्मान योजना चला रखा है।
जी।
लोग तो इसको वोट बैंक के नाम से लोग अलग अलग तरीके से लोग अपना उसका डेफिनेशन बनाते हैं। तो मुझे लगता है कि एक ग्रामीण अर्थव्यवस्था हमारे लिए सबसे पहला मेरा टारगेट है। मेरा गांव मजबूत होगा तब मैं समझता हूं कि हमारा राज्य भी मजबूत हो सकता है। नहीं तो ये वो इंडिविजुअल मेरा जेब भरा रहे और बाकी लोग भिखारी रहें तो ये तो कहीं से भी मैच नहीं कर सकता ना। उसको हम बहुत अच्छा डेवलपमेंट ग्रोथ कहेंगे।
हेमंत जी, एक सवाल इसी से जुड़ा हुआ, आजकल अगर आप देखें हर राजनीतिक पार्टी, हर राज्य जो है वो एक न एक ऐसी घोषणा हर पार्टी ने की है कि कैश ट्रांसफ़र एक खास तबके के लिए, एक खास ग्रुप के लिए। तो राजनीतिक परिदृश्य में क्या ये सभी पार्टीज़ के लिए एक परमानेंट फीचर रह गया है? क्योंकि कैश ट्रांसफ़र ज़रूरी है, लेकिन राज्यों की वित्तीय स्थिति जिस तरह की है, तो ये क्या सस्टेनेबल रहेगा? ये सस्टेनेबल रहेगा?
आप काम कीजिए। आप सरकार अर्न करती है तो उसको इन्वेस्ट भी करना पड़ता है। और इन्वेस्टमेंट का पैरामीटर ये है कि अगर आप बहुत क्लियरली ये आज दिखता है कि अगर मैं किसी भी रूरल एरियाज़ में किसी भी फैमिली को अगर 1 रुपया मैं उसको यहाँ से डिलीवर करता हूँ तो पहुँचते पहुँचते उसके पास 10 पैसे पहुँचते हैं, और बीच में कहाँ वो निकलता है ये पता नहीं चलता। अगर आप डायरेक्ट दे रहे हैं तो ये ज़्यादा बेटर है। क्यों बीच में कोई रुकावट डालेंगे, और वो अपने तरीके से ग्रो करेगा। हम थोपी हुई चीज़ें क्यों हम उसको ये करें कि तुम्हें यही काम करना है। हम आज ठीक है, ये कोई कहता है पॉलिटिकल, बहुत सारे, हाँ ये बात ज़रूर है कि रिसेंट इलेक्शंस में ये देखने को मिला कि बहुत सारे लोगों ने, बहुत सारी पार्टियों ने, बहुत सारे स्टेटों में ऐसा प्रैक्टिस किया है, बट वो सस्टेन कोई नहीं कर रहा। आप देख लीजिए कई स्टेट हैं जिन्होंने अलग अलग रूट अपना अपना करके कैसे उन स्कीमों को बंद करने का ये शुरू किया हुआ है। चलो अब इलेक्शन जीत गए, अब टाइम केयर पब्लिक कहाँ जाएगी उसका कोई मतलब नहीं है, लेकिन हमने कंटिन्यूअस ये स्कीम चला रखा है, नॉन स्टॉप। हमने इसके अलावा कई ऐसे स्कीम स्टार्ट किए हुए हैं जिससे हम अपने आने वाली पीढ़ी को, अब हम लोगों ने गुरुजी क्रेडिट कार्ड स्टार्ट किया है विदाउट कोलेटरल। हायर एजुकेशन के लिए हम लोगों ने 15 लाख रुपीज़ तक का एक लोन बैंक से उनको ग्रांट कराया है, मिनिमम ये पर से रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट पर। और वो भी एजुकेशन जब तक उसकी कंप्लीट नहीं होगी तब तक उसे बैंक को रिटर्न नहीं करना है। आफ्टर ही क्वालिफाइड उसको जॉब मिलेगा 1 साल के बाद, उसके बाद वो रिटर्न करे स्लोली। नहीं तो आज के दिन में गरीब को बैंक पूछता कौन है। आप 1 रुपया लोन लेने जाओ बैंक के पास, वो आपको कितने चक्कर कटवाएंगे कि आप बैंक जाना ही छोड़ दोगे।
ऐसी कोई योजना उद्योगों के लिए भी है, व्यवसायों के लिए भी है?
देखिए, उद्योगों के लिए तो बैंक ऑलवेज दरवाज़ा खोल के खड़ा रहता है,
बड़ों के लिए।
हाँ, तो वो बहुत बड़ा विषय नहीं है। मैं उसी के साथ चीज़ों को टैग करने की कोशिश करता हूँ कि हम उद्योग लगाने वाले के साथ खड़े हैं। हमारी भी कुछ शर्तें हैं कि हमारे जो लोग हैं, हमारे जो यंग यूथ हैं, उनको आप कैसे देखते हो। और उनको इंगेज कैसे करते हो? अभी तो आप देखते होंगे कई कंपनी, बड़ी बड़ी कंपनियां एम्प्लॉय अपना छांट रही हैं। आज जिस तरीके से कंपनियों के अंदर मैं देख रहा हूँ, चाहे आईटी सेक्टर हो, चाहे स्टील इंडस्ट्री हो, चाहे पावर सेक्टर हो, चाहे इवन मीडिया भी, इवन मैं देखता हूँ कि लोगों को काट छांट कर रहे हैं लोग। तो ये स्थिति क्यों आती है? तो इसलिए हम लोगों ने थोड़ा बहुत स्ट्रांगली हमने सोचा है कि अपनी जड़ें इतनी मजबूत रखें कि पेड़ में कोई असर ना पड़े, चाहे जितना तूफान हो या बारिश हो।
जी, चलिए इसी नोट पर आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आप पीटी हाउस आए, आपने समय निकाला हमारे लिए, आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
बहुत बहुत
हेमंत जी।
धन्यवाद।
Infrastructure today is more about financing, finding the capital to build the right infrastructure. And we have at the ET House today Mr. Prashant Kumar. He's the Finance Secretary of State of Jharkhand. We have Mohammed Athar. He leads the infra practice for PricewaterhouseCoopers. And we have Saurabh Tripathi, who is a global leader of financial institutions practice for BCG. Welcome all of you. Thank you for joining us here. And if I could start with you, Ms. Prashant Kumar, for states, the larger push for infrastructure creation and in terms of financing has been coming from the states and the government side. How much of a challenge is it to bring in private capital?
Yeah, traditionally we have been funding this infrastructure project through traditional financing like our government budget or bank lending. But given the limited resources that we have, especially the fiscal space is limited and so many things have to be done. So we have started looking for new age financing where blended finance and public-private partnerships to fund our capital infrastructure. And the real challenge is selecting and posing those projects which may attract the appetite of the private sector. So that is where we are trying to look, and also bringing in the right policy frameworks, regulatory mechanisms, and how do we facilitate the land transfers? Because the real, if you ground the projects, you need the lands.
The key challenge which a number of infrastructure projects face, right? If I could come to you, Mohammed, from private sector perspective, when we're talking about new age instruments to finance these infrastructure, which instruments do you think are proving more effective, which to unlock private capital?
So look, we need to look at asset classes, especially if you are thinking about segments within infra. So let me pick up airports, for example. So airports is a fantastic case of how private capital can really create efficiency, create value for government, and also give world-class operations, which clearly are stand out from a global benchmark perspective. So look at what GMR, then GVK, now Adani's, and now Fairfax, and many others, have come in over there, where clearly the demand risk was, taken up by private sector. But in many case sectors, the private sector is still not very assured of the demand challenges that are there. And that's where they will need a framework where they can take performance risk, but they cannot take, both the construction risk as well as, the demand risk that is coming in over there. So if a framework which focuses on their operations capability to say, you take the performance risk and we will handle the demand risk for you and also a bit of construction risk for you, those frameworks have done extremely well. So for example, in road sector, the hybrid annuity model really worked to say that long gestation period infrastructure projects are getting stuck in between and they are getting lost. So we could think about a multitude of such options where You need long gestation period projects. For those long gestation periods, the government could come in to enable those projects first, so that the enabling infrastructure projects are more market ready. And that's how a mix of government capital supporting private capital is the way to think about several asset classes within infrastructure.
Saurabh, how much of a policy certainty is needed to support, this flow of private capital?
I mean, I think we cannot overemphasize ever the importance of this. The demand and the appetite for investing in India is growing by the day. We are basking in the glory of our economic growth at this point of time. We are one of the few large economies which is seeing growth and has a line of sight for growth over the next several years. And the appetite for investment in infrastructure also in the financial world is huge. And actually, the world of finance is experiencing quite a fundamental change at this point of time. The whole trend towards non-banks, driving the growth is phenomenal. And infrastructure asset class is one of the fastest growing asset class with a lot of appetite. So firstly, there is a lot of interest in India. Now, the only thing that foreign private capital will require is how to de-risk in the context of an emerging market situation. Infrastructure always has a lot of policy risk associated with it, but also other types of risk which need to, so the primary thing for us is basically how do we create stable environment so that the flood of foreign money that can come in, they just need to know that there is certain level of certainty around land acquisition, there is certain level of certainty around taxation issues, there is certain level of certainty around government policies, and there is stability over the planning horizon that they have, and that they can actually bring the money and they can take the money out. They will like to take some risk on the returns, but some of the existential risks that come in infrastructure projects can be completely can scare off the investor. So I think it is clear that imperative for the government what is the minimum that has to be done.
Okay. Mohammed, we've seen in the past that policy uncertainty have created issues where, sometimes where private capital is committed and so on. In terms of states like Jharkhand, what can they do? What kind of policy interventions are required to assure investors, especially private investors who want to come in?
Sure. Look, and I was speaking to him before the panel also. If you see, investors, we follow where the demand is very clearly. And hence, in many places, you will see private sector infrastructure creation has happened and private sector capital has gone in over there. But where they need a bit of assurity on demand, where they need a bit of assurity on policy continuity, as well as the regulatory framework that will follow from their investment, the government will need to do much more in giving those signals. So if Jharkhand was to create new asset classes of infrastructure projects which they would like private sector to be involved in, one will need to think about what are the frameworks under PPPs they could explore. So for example, I'm sure their tourism department will have several tourism assets where instead of thinking about new greenfield development, could we give away a lot of operations of government-owned tourism assets in places like Ranchi, which are known for a bit of tourism, on management contracts. So that's the first level of saying instead of entire spectrum of design, build, finance, operate, at least you start on the operation side of the contract. That's one. Second, in key cities, the way he spoke about how do we handle land. And land pricing becomes a very important critical element of that. If the government takes a view to say we want to de-risk ourselves on land price, then the investors will find it difficult to say that if we have to take even the land price risk, why should we do it with government? We can do it on our own. So then a land policy framework becomes a very important element to say that the government is desiring to get into these 3-4 asset classes, let's say worker housing, IT offices, logistics hub. All of them are land-based asset classes. For them, if the government comes out with a very clear framework to say that we are coming out with these 3-4 models, these could be revenue share models, these could be annual fixed rental models to say that these are 8-10 land plots. We have come out with a very clear framework. We are ready to give this out for 30 years, also on a 30 plus 30-year lease basis, where you can just come in, set this up, and we are happy to create that kind of a governance. Now, the second issue that comes is on project finance. Many of the times the land lease documents are not, the lenders don't get enough comfort on PPP frameworks. So is the Jharkhand government's PPP law strong enough to give the investors the comfort to say that in case, there are challenges, they can go to, tribunal or whatever way to, manage their investments? I think that those are the set of actions one could take up.
Prashant sir, if you could just respond to that. Private investors, funding is not an issue. They're ready to put in money. What they need is stable and clearer framework, which is easier also as well. So from Jharkhand's perspective, what is there on the table?
True. I think Athar has said very rightly. Any investor will need certain amount of assurance that the risk that they can take only they will be passed on, whereas the government will have to take care of it. And that is why we have been developing frameworks, because it is also a learning curve for us. Because initially we also had bad experiences where we were taken for a ride. So, and then we are accountable to the public and the legislature. So, over a period of time we have learned how to frame our contracts, how to make such policies where certain upfront risks which need to be taken care of by the government will be taken care of. And then later operational risk can be taken care of by the private sector. And that is where things can fall in place. So one good example we are having, and I think it's across the country, but in Jharkhand also, in solar energy sector. So what we did was, we are giving you land free of cost. So all the water reservoirs in Jharkhand, zero cost we give you. We also give you a guarantee of purchase for a 25-year periods. So once you have that kind of risk covered, things are falling in place. We have two big projects coming up, 100 megawatt and 600 megawatt solar power, totally funded by the private sector. Similarly, in tourism also, we are working. We had projects where we gave management contracts. We had some good experiences. We are also going for greenfield where we can have build, operate and transfer kind of projects. Highway already we are doing. Many of the states and even government of India is doing. And we are now looking for industrial parks. So in industrial parks also we are looking for this model where we can provide the land. The demand is there in Jharkhand because many industries want to come, but the land is the issue. Once they get a developed land, so the private party comes in, brings in the finance, develops, operates, and also attracts the industries to land there. So certainly, over a period of time, Jharkhand is learning, and we are catching hold of private finance in various models, whether it is PPA or blended finance or even some bonds also municipal corporations are trying. So that's it.
Innovative financing methods. Okay. Saurabh, we are talking about clearer frameworks. There are incentives on the table. Infrastructure is a long-term game. Short-term incentives, how do they help creation of long-term infrastructure? Or what else do you need beside that?
I think we also need an outreach to the global investment community. I think once we create a right environment, that doesn't mean the people will come. We need to go out and market. I think today's world, that is very important. We need to be, I am so happy that Prashant ji is here, in Davos, talking to people. Just being present in this context makes a big difference. And I think it's very important to go out and market and to let the right type of investors know that you are here, you are available for business. But this is a business deal, right? So we need to really segment the investor community and find the right type of investors who are appropriate for the unique opportunity that you have. So there is some thinking to be done there. Which type of investors will have the right risk appetite? They have certain affiliation to the opportunity. There is certain Jharkhand angle. Jharkhand will have certain type of infrastructure that will be different. It's not the same as Tamil Nadu, it's not the same. So there is that level of
The
homework.
frameworks need to be sort of tweaked in to ensure the state-specific needs are met.
It's not just the framework, the outreach. I would like the states to be out there with a very proactive marketing approach.
Right.
These days, we are recognizing that even in the commercial world, people segment the customer base to decide which customers to go and sell your products. People also have to segment the investor base and say which investor is right for me. And so that job has to be done by the states.
Athar, can states be the risk partners or can they just work as sponsor of infrastructure creation?
I would say clearly they have to be a major risk partner because that's the complementarity they offer to private sector, right? For example, there are wonderful, Prashantji spoke about industrial parks. Look at Tamil Nadu. They have created a multitude of industrial parks in JVs with private sector capital, whether it was the Singaporean capital land or with Mahindra World City, with the Chennai Mahindra World City. And fundamentally, the way the whole joint venture was structured was to say, look, you will not be able to handle land acquisition. You will not be able to handle the R&R issues related to the land. You won't be able to you will get stuck in the last mile connectivity and the whole transport connectivity and transport services. Let me handle all this for you on the utility infra. And then you show me the operations capability of delivering something which becomes a major selling point for me to create more jobs. So clearly the relationship is very clearly set out that here is a company that will bring its own anchor investments. B, will be having a connect with, as he rightly mentioned, with the outreach community. So the state may not know who's expanding which sectors. Tamil Nadu is very strong in auto. If you have a partner in Mahindra, you get an access to the whole auto community. And then they had to differentiate it, Mahindra Life Spaces as an infra partner, which has the capability to deliver high quality infra. And that's how so clearly they are a major risk partner in this. And of course, things which, for example, imagine that the viability of the project is getting impacted because of the last mile connectivity. A lot of trunk infrastructure to be, aligned to those industrial cluster is where they also become the partner on the overall, project finance side to say that this is the sunk investment we will do, which will not generate revenue returns for you. You focus on industrial cluster. We will create the ecosystem for your capital to be successful. So that's how the sequence of risk management as well as the capital flow could be managed.
Right. If I could just ask you, in terms of the policy initiatives that the state of Jharkhand has undertaken, in terms of creating, say, a PPP framework or, the newer instruments, what is the state sort of planning to do or it has already done? And how are you reaching out to the investors? And do you have projects ready for the investors? Because it is not about just the money. It is also about whether there are bankable projects ready.
Even in the initial also I said, we have to select and choose the right projects. Then only they will come. So yes, we have created a PPP cell. We have a framework. But as Athar said and even Saurav said, it has to be tweaked sector-wise. So today our solar policy for investment is quite mature. We are attracting properly. Tourism, we are a bit there. I think we need to do a bit more, learning from the experiences of other states, how better we can do there. Now we have taken up seriously the healthcare infrastructure. So we are building our healthcare park, where healthcare infrastructure institutions, be it hospital or research centers, they can come in. So that is one area we are working actively. We are also talking to various partners. Health department is also working on it. So we are going to finalize those areas also. And transportation and logistic hubs, we have already done quite a bit. And I think maybe we can improve more. But yeah, we are getting projects there, investment there. And industrial parts, industries department is working very seriously. Almost the draft is ready. I think in maybe 2 to 3 months, our industrial park, this investment draft will be ready.
Right. we actually are running out of time, so we just need to conclude. If you could just, each one of you, in 1 minute, sort of just outline what should be, from you both, what should be states like Jharkhand sort of doing in terms of policy, and also getting a pipeline ready for projects. And then you could sort of.
Excellent. So I will summarize it a bit differently. I think our take from all of these deliberations over the last several days in Davos have been that despite a lot of noise to the contrary, the general mood in the world of business and finance is quite optimistic. And we're looking at next few years, which are quite positive actually from a business perspective. So there is appetite for taking risk. There is appetite for making investments. So this is the right time for us to be present in the right opportunities and market the opportunities. I think enough has been discussed about, creating policy framework and taking risk. I mean, there's a lot of expertise on that. I think there has to be, and there is, positive competition between different states in India to attract the right type of capital to support the economic growth. And I think that competition is healthy, and it requires a level of outreach to the world investment community that I think is starting to happen, which is very good. And I think we need to do more.
Okay.
No, I think, first of all, thank you for having us here. I will say, look, there is very clear hunger in private sector to do more in Indian states. And of course, Jharkhand could take a lead on aligning that hunger. What would be critical is, I think, element of trust. Many a times the partnerships, if they start delivering very well, even those projects are seen with a bit of, that was the structure done well or not. I think that trust needs to be there in public-private partnership. And that will come through a lot of thinking on across sectors and projects which Jharkhand wants to come out with, on frameworks for each one of them, giving certainty on each one of them. And third, I would say is, let's do, while we think about project portfolios, I would say demand-linked project pipeline, which is to say, think about tourism, call investors to say, where would you like to invest? And then create a portfolio of projects. Think about industrial parks. So instead of me coming with an industrial park in a city B versus where investors would like to go in city A, and that really, so that demand-linked planning becomes important. And be very innovative on partnership. So that to conclude on this part is, think about even the aggregators that are coming in. Even a partnership with Make My Trip with the state to pursue more investors and demand on tourism asset will become very helpful. So that's innovation in partnership is also to do.
Right. Thank you. To conclude, Mr. Prashant Kumar, state governments ready for responding to what he said, demand creation of a pipeline which is demand linked.
Yeah, we are already there, but as I would like to continue with Saurabh that outreach is important, and our presence in Jharkhand, at first time we have come, the presence in Davos is, I would say, proof that we are serious for the outreach. Our top leadership is here, and he has also met various investors, and we are also trying to build trust, outreach, trust, and of course, our policy frameworks and those regulatory mechanisms, as they will mature, I think the level of confidence and trust among the investors will come in. So yeah, we are there thanks to Davos. I think we have shown that we are serious and out there. Right investors.
All right. On that note, thank you so much for joining us here at the ET House.